I'm over here trying to do a protest live against Biden's draconian policies that have technically made peace impossible in the region of Afghanistan, that is facilitating the hegemonic agenda of India by trying to sanction various Pakistani companies under fake allegations of proliferating nukes, all while India has been caught red-handed trying to smuggle uranium. It's India that has been lynching the minorities, but then the U.S. Religious Freedom Monitor is the one trying to impose sanctions against Pakistan for trying to abuse the rights of minorities, all while India has been literally slaying all non-Hindu minorities within India, from Christians to Dalits to Assams, Bengalis to Muslims, and there is not even a single mention against Indian violations of human rights going on actively under the Modi administration. So it's like all the bad things are being done by India, but Biden is just focused upon Pakistan and is coming up with one excuse after another to try to sanction Pakistan. And it has also unleashed its economic hitmen in the form of IMF, World Bank, FATF, to try to collapse Pakistan's economy. And this is all at the behest of the nefarious agenda of deep state, the same deep state that has the agenda to destabilize the entire area again, to try to orchestrate another 9/11 using the land of Afghanistan. The only country, the only one that's standing in between another 9/11 from Afghanistan and the US and the American people is Pakistan. If Pakistan is destabilized, if Pakistan is collapsed, then the deep state will be able to successfully orchestrate another 9/11 using the land of Afghanistan, and the world will become like a hellhole again, like it has been in the last 2 decades. So I'm right now over here protesting against the hawkish foreign policy of Biden. I'm all alone, I'm by myself. I'm standing over here trying to support peace, trying to support what is just, what is right, and what the American ideology stands for, what the American Constitution stands for. The Constitution of the US does not allow its foreign policy to be dictated by a foreign country. But unfortunately, the foreign policy of US has been dictated by Israel, who is in bed with India. Both have the same purpose. Both are working for deep state that does not want peace in the world. They want draconian, hegemonic, global domination. They want to arrest the civil liberties of the people of the world. They want to create their greater Israel plan. They want to create their Akhand Bharat Hindutva plan at the cost of the smaller countries. They think they can dominate, rule, and occupy the entire region of Middle East and Southeast Asia. And they're trying to abuse the US soldiers. They're trying to abuse the US economy. They're trying to use the American people against the US Constitution, trying to facilitate their occupation agenda. The only country that's fighting against the deep state right now in the region of Southeast Asia is Pakistan. That's the only country that's standing between the deep state trying to orchestrate another 9/11 using the land of Afghanistan and the American people. The only country that is working for peace and the defense of the world, not just the American people, against the nefarious agenda of the deep state is Pakistan. And this is why the deep state has decided to collapse its economy. Via IMF, via World Bank, via FATF, it has monopolized these economic hitmen to devalue the Pakistan currency. This is directly affecting 222 million people of Pakistan, a third of which are now living below the poverty line thanks to the hawkish foreign policy of Biden that is being mediated through the IMF, through the World Bank. This is the reward that Biden administration has decided to give to Pakistan for trying to safely evacuate all assets of US from Afghanistan, from Kabul, when the entire region was in chaos. It was Pakistan who saved the lives of the American people and its allies from Kabul when there was a war going on. And this is the reward that the Biden administration has given to Pakistan. It has imposed a hawkish foreign policy that is trying to sanction Pakistani companies, calling them as being involved in proliferating nuclear programs, all while India has been caught red-handed trying to smuggle uranium many times. India has been caught red-handed trying to lynch non-Hindus, including Christians, including Dalits, including Muslims within the land of India. It is India that is lynching its minorities. It is India that is smuggling uranium. It is India that has violated the UN resolutions and revoked Article 370, forcefully occupying, trying to annex the region of Kashmir that is still a disputed territory as per the UN resolution. So how come the Biden administration, that's supposed to be the champion of human rights, is trying to support the Indian war crimes against the defense of Pakistan, that is trying to defend not just itself but the rest of the world against the hegemonic, nefarious agendas of the deep state? They want global occupation, they want imperialism, they want colonialism, they want to plunder the resources of smaller countries, they want to decimate civilizations. Just look at the refugee camps of Syria. Just look at what's going on in Yemen. Just look at what happened to Iraq. 1 million people in Iraq got killed in a war that did not have to happen, and Biden signed up for that war. Biden forced the American people to get involved in a war that was not their war, that was not meant to be their war. Thousands of American soldiers came home amputated, disabled, for a war that was not an American war, that was a war done to support the oil wells of Dick Cheney, to support the hegemonic agenda of Rupert Murdoch, Jacob Rothschild, and the deep state actors who just think about themselves, who just care about themselves, who have no conscience, who have no humanity, who have no ethics, who have no morals, who have no law obligation. They make their own laws and they choose their own laws, and they force the whole world to abide by their laws and not the international charter. This is why US has yet to sanction India, that has violated every other Geneva Convention in the dictionary of United Nations resolutions. We cannot achieve peace, we cannot achieve justice, we cannot achieve normalcy, we cannot achieve a future for our countries, for our people, for our children, unless Biden administration gets its act straightened together, stops imposing hawkish foreign policies against its own allies who have sacrificed more than 80,000 people in the war against terrorism. Was it India that supported US when 9/11 happened? No. It was Pakistan who gave US military base and who got involved in the American war against terrorism out of goodwill because it was the right thing to do. And in a bid to support its ally, Pakistani people lost 80,000 lives. Pakistani civilians got killed in this war against terrorism. Innocent people got blasted off because Pakistan chose to fight the war against ISIS, the war against Al-Qaeda, the war against the perpetrators of 9/11. How many lives did India lose in the war against terrorism? India has been abusing the land of Afghanistan for years now, under the nose of deep state, with complete immunity. And finally, it was kicked out of Kabul by Pakistan to secure the land and to be able to procure peace. And this is what Biden administration returns to Pakistan It imposes draconian, hawkish plans, economic plans against Pakistan, debilitating the poor of Pakistan. There are 222 million people in Pakistan who are getting directly affected by the hawkish foreign policy of Biden administration that is not as per the Constitution of US. It was Pakistan that sacrificed its people, that shed its blood to save the people of US, not India. India even refused to give refuge to assets of US from Afghanistan when the whole Kabul exodus happened. But it was Pakistan who made sure that every diplomat, every journalist, every politician, every soldier of US and its allies gets evacuated from Kabul safely and securely. And in return, this is what Biden administration does. It decides to sanction Pakistan's companies just to be able to appease its few donors who have invested heavily in the super PAC so that it can win the next election. But this is against the Constitution of US. This is a betrayal to the American people that the Biden administration is doing by pursuing hawkish policies against one of its closest allies that has sacrificed 80,000 of its civilians in the war against terrorism, that has saved the lives of thousands of US soldiers and diplomats and journalists without asking for anything in return. For a long time, US has stopped funding or giving any kind of funds to Pakistan. Yet, Pakistan decided to support, evacuate the US diplomats, the US soldiers, the US politicians when the whole recent Kabul exodus happened. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Who's your ally? Who's your enemy? The ones who are trying to destabilize Afghanistan so that another 9/11 can be orchestrated, they can never be the friends of US. And that's India, that's Israel, that's the deep state, that's Rupert Murdoch, that's Dick Cheney and his buddies, that's Biden himself, and that's every other person who imposed the Iraq war, the Syrian invasion, the Libyan invasion, the Middle Eastern crisis upon the people of US. They are the same people. They're still working. They're still acting in their own interests. So I'm right now over here. I am asking the American people to get up and try to stop the Biden administration from repeating Iraq, from repeating Yemen, from repeating Syria, from repeating Libya, because this is not your war. This was never an American war. This is not your war. Your soldiers need not lose their legs, arms in the war for the oil wells of Dick Cheney and Rupert Murdoch and Jacob Rothschild. This is not an American war. The area has to be stabilized, and Pakistan has played a key role in stabilization of Afghanistan, in making sure that no more 9/11s can happen from this region. And so it is important that the American people confront Biden and ask him to stop acting so deep state-ish. Stop acting like an actor and puppet of deep state. Stop trying to repeat Iraq war. Stop trying to repeat Yemen war. Stop trying to repeat Syria war. Stop trying to repeat Libya war. It is India itself that is trying to lobby the congressmen and the US politicians to incite destabilization in Afghanistan so that another 9/11 can be orchestrated and a justification for more military troops, for more wars can be made. This is drama. This is their drama. This is their circus. They have had you go through this for the last few decades. They have had you go through recessions, economic recessions, all while they've been getting rich. So why aren't you confronting Why aren't you confronting your government? Your government is violating the US Constitution that is not supposed to drone the children of its allies. Obama administration droned Pakistani children. Obama administration violated the US Constitution. All while Pakistan was supporting US 100% in the war against terrorism, Obama supported more and more drone attacks against the children of Pakistan in the Waziristan area. What does that tell you? Your politicians are not working for you. They are not following your constitution. They are just following the dictation of a few families who have enslaved all of you 320 million Americans, abusing your rights, arresting your civil liberties, just to be able to gain maximum benefit for themselves. Who made the most money in the crisis of 2008? Not you, not your friends, not your family. It were a few companies, narcotics, and weapons. A few companies that dealt in narcotics and weapons. They are the ones that made all the profit, all while you suffered one of the worst recessions of a lifetime in 2008. So is your government working for you? No, it's not. Is Biden working for you? No, he's not. Was Obama working for you? No, he was not. They are pursuing an agenda of the deep state. They are not respecting International Charter of Human Rights. United Nations has categorically said that India has no right to commit heinous war crimes against the people of Kashmir. That is still an established disputed territory. United Nations has rejected the negation of Article 370 by India. United Nations has categorically announced that India cannot forcefully annex Kashmir to India. And Pakistan has been fighting for the rights of the Kashmiri people all this time, for the right of self-determination given to them by the world as per the Charter of United Nations. And now Pakistan made sure that India cannot use the land of Afghanistan as a proxy ground, battleground against the people of Kashmir, against Pakistan, thus destabilizing the whole land, working with the deep state in order to orchestrate another 9/11. India wants another 9/11 in US. India is working on it. Can you stop it? You cannot stop it if your own government is trying to sanction the biggest opponent of India in the region, which is Pakistan. Pakistan is trying to defeat the nefarious conspiracies of India that is trying to destabilize Afghanistan so as to orchestrate another 9/11 in US so that it can justify continuous military occupation of Afghanistan by US, by NATO, by India itself. And that is just going to propagate another 2 decades of war without any results, without any productivity, but just bloodshed. And not just the bloodshed of Afghans, but the bloodshed of Americans, the bloodshed of American diplomats, the bloodshed of American journalists, the bloodshed of American soldiers, and not just within Afghanistan, but on the land of US as well. Because if Afghanistan gets destabilized again, then another 9/11 can happen. And the one entity, the one country that is standing between another 9/11 happening from Afghanistan and the people of US and the rest of the world is Pakistan. Pakistan is the only country that is trying to stop another 9/11 from happening on the soil of US and in the rest of the world. And this is something that the state doesn't want, and that is why they have committed economic terrorism against Pakistan. They have devalued its currency unfairly, and they're trying to boycott its companies under fake allegations. And their whole purpose is to collapse its economy so that they can remove and neutralize Pakistan and then abuse the land of Afghanistan to orchestrate another 9/11. Are you ready for another 9/11, American people? Are you ready for another act of terrorism on this land? Are you ready for these deep state actors to abuse your constitution, to abuse your rights, to abuse the powers given to them by your vote, to fill their backs up, to use you against yourself? Are you ready for that? Because it's coming. I'm standing over here. I'm telling you, this is what Biden administration is up to. This is what Antony Blinken is up to. They have orchestrated a hawkish foreign policy against the people of Pakistan, ignoring the sacrifices of 80,000 lives lost in the war against terrorism for the US, for the American people, ignoring the fact that Pakistan is the only country that safely evacuated the American people in the Kabul recent chaos, ignoring the fact that Pakistan has given up so much, $500 billion worth of economy in trying to support American war against terrorism. Are you ready for another 9/11? This is my question in this protest to the American people. Are you ready for another 9/11? Because it could happen if you did not stand up, confront your government, and told them no more. No more. No more 9/11s. No more wars in our name. No more deep state conspiracies. No more hidden agendas. No more violations of US Constitution. No more violations of international charter. No more violations of UN resolutions. American people want peace. Pakistani people want peace. Can we have peace? Yes, we can. How can we have peace? By standing up against the deep state actors, by confronting them, by telling them no more, by making them decelerate their activities. It is us against them. I repeat, it is us against them. Can we win? Yes, we can. We lost? Yes, we did. We lost a lot. Pakistani people lost a lot. American people lost a lot. The world lost a lot. Middle Eastern people lost a lot. Iraqis lost a lot. Yemens are still losing. Syrians are still losing. Libyans lost a lot. But can we win? Yes, we can. Can we unite? Yes, we can. Can we move forwards? Yes, we can. Can we defeat the agenda? Yes, we can. And yes, we will. Please, kindly listen to what I'm trying to say, because if another 9/11 happens from the land of Afghanistan, it's going to be another vicious cycle of the last few decades through which they're going to have you go through, killing your people, killing your children, killing your economy, killing your livelihoods, and killing your soldiers for their wars, for their occupations, for their imperialism, for their colonialism. I want to ask you just one thing. I want my American countrymen and women, I just want you to ask yourself one thing. Are you willing to go through another 9/11? If your answer is no, then listen to what I have said. India is up to a very dirty game. India has spiked up its arsenal. It is buying everything under the sun because it's preparing itself for war. War against who? War against Pakistan and its allies, trying to destabilize the region. And who is it going to benefit? It's not going to benefit the US. Has any war ever benefited the US? No. It's only benefited the military-industrial complex. It's only benefited the weapon industry. It has not benefited the American people. It has only killed American soldiers in wars that were not even the American wars. So today, I want you to decide what you want to do. Do you want to stand up against Biden administration and ask them, Why are they implementing hawkish foreign policies against the UN Charter, against the US Constitution, ignoring the human rights violations happening right now in India against Kashmiris, against Dalits, against Christians, against Muslims, and ignoring the illicit smuggling of uranium from India, all while trying to impose draconian, hawkish agendas against the one ally that it has had in the war against terrorism, that has objectively proven its loyalty by sacrificing 80,000 civilians in the war against terrorism, and that evacuated every American who was in a state of danger when the whole Kabul exodus happened. If you're not gonna stand up with your allies, you're gonna lose every coming war. If you're gonna work as per the discretion of the deep state like you've had your government's work in the last few decades, you're gonna lose every upcoming war like you have in the past. Because these wars are not being fought based upon the ideology of the US Constitution, based upon the ideology of the American people. These wars have been fought to make a few people rich and more powerful, all while the American people have suffered and sacrificed and given up their liberties, their freedoms, and their lives and their livelihoods. So this is not going to be your war. All this Quad nonsense is a distraction. You think Quad is pro-US? It's not pro-US. Pakistan has made an out-of-the-way effort to mediate peace between China and US. Both the US and Chinese economies are interdependent. They have a symbiotic relationship. They're synchronized. If one tacks down, the other does. If one rises, the other rises. This is a simple economic fact. You can ask any economist in the world. There was a review from the Howard Kennedy School that officially declared this, that China is not US enemy, that US must continue trade with China because it is in the best interest of US. China has no plans to attack US, and Pakistan has made sure that there is good relations between China and US. So, do you want to go to war with China? No. Why would you want to go to war with China? China is not your enemy. China does not want to attack you. They are creating fear, like they've had all this time, that, oh, Saddam Hussein is carrying weapons of mass destruction. They are using the mainstream media to create fear so that they can justify their next war in the name of Quad against China and Pakistan, when Pakistan has made every effort to mediate peace between China and US successfully for all these years. So the one country that is stopping another 9/11 from happening from the land of Afghanistan is Pakistan. The one country that has stopped successfully World War III from happening over Taiwan between US and China is Pakistan. And the deep state hates Pakistan. That is why they are unleashing the economic hitmen, trying to decimate the 222 million people of Pakistan by trying to sanction their companies, by trying to devalue their currency, by trying to impose hyperinflation in this tiny country that is trying to fight a war against deep state, not just for itself, but for the rest of the world, including the American people. It is trying to fight for the freedom, civil liberties of not just the Pakistanis, but the American people and the rest of the world against these warmongering, fear-mongering, dirty, rotten scoundrels who have destroyed the peace of Middle East, who have destroyed the peace of Southeast Asia, who have destroyed Afghanistan, who have made money through their narcotics trade, who have been responsible for the opioid overdoses of the American kids because all the money they made from the narco trade in Afghanistan was used to buy drugs for the American kids over here. And these American kids got addicted and died from overdoses of fentanyl, died from overdoses of heroin and oxycodone. We have been through hell because of these deep state actors who just think about themselves. They're evil. And this is the time to unite with the people of Pakistan and not evil. This is the time to tell your government that no, India is not our friend. Anyone who thinks that killing a non-Hindu in the name of religion is okay is not our friend. Anyone who thinks that you can abuse Afghanistan to carry your proxy attacks against another country and create destabilization to proliferate ISIS for your Khand Bharatindetwa is not your friend. Anyone who thinks that rejecting UN resolutions and UN Charter by forcefully annexing and revoking Article 317 Kashmir is not your friend. Anyone who lynches non-Hindus in the name of religion in India is not your friend. This is not who you stand for. This is not what you stand for. This is not your ideology. This is not why you created this country or founded this country. This country was supposed to bring justice, democracy, rights, human rights, and to talk about them, to proliferate them, and not to stand with those who are actually violating everything that is in the US Constitution and in the International Charter. This is not why your founding fathers created this country. This is not why US was made. This is not what's written in your Constitution. This is not what you tell your children to believe in, that those who kill non-Hindus in the name of religion are your friends, that those who reject UN resolutions based upon justice, based upon truth, are your friends, that those who lynch, who mob lynch others who are weaker are your friends, that those who try to abuse foreign countries for their wars using their land as a proxy ground are your friends. No, you are not telling your kids that they are your friends, because they are not your friends. Your friends are Pakistanis who have stood up with you in all wars against the deep state, working for the civil liberties of not just their own country, but the rest of the world. Worked against terrorism, fought against terrorism, won against terrorism. That is Pakistan. And right now, the only country that is trying to stop another 9/11 from happening from Afghanistan is Pakistan. And this is why they are trying to decimate Pakistan, destroy and collapse its economy, so that they can destroy the peace in the region, because Pakistan is the only peacemaker in the region. Pakistan just prevented World War III from happening by mediating peace between China and US. It wasn't India. India actually wanted more war, because that would have given it more funds in the name of Quad. But it was Pakistan that went forwards and tried to mediate peace between China and US. So today I ask you, please kindly, do not allow another 9/11 from happening. This is us against them, and we are not going to allow this century to be ruled by the deep state. Period. No ifs and buts about it. This century will not be allowed to be ruled by these dirty, rotten scoundrels. It's going to be us who are going to win now. They are going to lose. We are going to make them lose. Yes, me and you, we are going to unite, and we are going to make the deep state lose. But we cannot do so by just sitting on our butts. We have to stand up. We have to confront our governments. And we have to tell them, Biden, you cannot do this anymore. You are not allowed by the people of US to commit a betrayal against the US Constitution, against your voters, and commit an alliance, an unholy alliance with the war criminals who are wanting to orchestrate another 9/11 from the land of Afghanistan. This is the time to act right now. I have said whatever I wanted to say right now, but the ball is now in your court. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.